hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. I'm Lee Elias, joined by Mike Benelli and Christie Burns. And today's guest is someone whose hockey story doesn't follow the typical script. Imagine that. We say it every episode, there is no path. And that's exactly why we're excited to have him today. He was not drafted into the OHL, but he did carve his own path through junior hockey. He signed pro. He played in the AHL and the ECHL. He won championships. He earned a playoff MVP. And somewhere along the way, he scored what many still call one of the greatest highlight reel goals ever, a play that made national sports news. I promise you listening, if you're a hockey fan, you've seen this goal along the way. We'll tap on that a little bit today. But what makes his story powerful isn't just what he did as a player, it's what he's doing now. He's dedicated to mentoring and developing young athletes, helping them build confidence, character, and perspective in a sport that can often feel overwhelming. That's like our byline for the show. Perfect guest today. Scott, welcome to Our Kids Play Hockey.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
No, it's great to have you here, man. And I just want to lead off with that thing that I said. You were not drafted in the OHL, which is for a lot of young players, especially in Canada, that could feel like the end, right? So what was that time like? How did you process it? And for the players listening, how important is it to understand that there's not one path? You can do this on your own if you want.
Yeah, there's so many. There's so many different pathways. I think now, this time in there, like everybody just looks at one way. It's the OHL, the Western Hockey League, or NCAA being maybe more so your American side. For me, I played really young. I was doing really well younger, playing AAA at home here just outside or in Toronto, and I bounced. Like I didn't want to play anymore. I was playing actually in a non-profit or not-for-profit free house league in downtown Toronto. So I took off there, skating there at about 3 years old. My dad grew up in the area. My mom grew up in the area. It's still one of the only free house leagues going on at Moss Park there. That's in North America. I don't think there's any other programs that are actually completely free, community-based. So I went on. I played AAA again, really young. Didn't want to play. Kind of lost a try for it. Money wasn't, so it wasn't a lot of it in the household. And I just said, you know what? I don't really, at a young age, I just didn't care for it. There was a lot of politics and a lot of things going on. At a young age, I remember certain phone calls my mom was taking and that kind of thing. And I went down and actually tried out for a single A team from AAA down to single A. I was on the ice with my younger brother, and I wore a tracksuit and a helmet and gloves. And I actually became, I guess, part of that team going from AAA down to single A. Team I think won like 3 games the year before. We won a lot more the next year, and then we actually won a championship together, and then slowly moved to AA. But along those lines, again, I think that we can probably get more into it. It's the relationships. So like one of those, the coach there that I actually ended up playing for, he was a huge role model and just a person that was close to myself. Became really good friends with his son, and still to this day, like he was in my wedding. And I remember being about 11 or 12 years old. The man Cosmo had a construction company. He said, at 18 years old, you can come and work for me. So at 18 years old, I called him and I said, hey, that job that you said I can. He said, okay, no problem. So I stayed a month at his house and lived there and worked as like a little gopher for a little bit of money. And I actually retired when I did stop playing professionally. I went back and I worked for him for a couple of months to see if that was something I wanted to get into or to cover. So again, I go all on this topic based on its relationships. Wow. You never know through the game of hockey and what you're going to get out of it and who you're going to meet and who you're going to become close to. Yeah.
Those relationships. Cool. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Yeah. So those relationships, super important. But back to Lee's question about not making it in the OHL. That would have been the end of the dream for a lot of kids your age. So what was it that made you say, okay, this path isn't typical, but I'm going to find another way to make it? Tell us about that journey.
I think personally, I was just more naive to even knowing I can play at that high of a level. I didn't have anybody. People around you. You're usually playing your AAA, your bantam here, going into draft year. Draft year for me wasn't even a thing. Like I was playing AA at 16 years old. Drafted wasn't, again, I was happy to play junior A that was free. That was my goal at the time. And then again, getting into different camps and different skates and things around the area. So I had some people around me like, maybe you should take this a little bit more serious. Maybe you should turn this into something. And so, I always tell people I was on the way kind of up, and there were some guys that were unfortunately that hadn't gone through their adversity quite yet at 16, 17. Things were kind of just there. They worked hard at 12, 13 years old. They had a little bit of a different path, obviously, where they got to 16, 17, not drafted. And that's what we're talking about, where, hey, it was now this is the end. What happened to me? Or I was playing on borrowed time, essentially. It was house money. I was just, hey, let's do this. I see where this goes at 17, 18. I was just starting to kind of get into a rhythm and a bit more of a peak.
Literally house money. That's the
Yeah.
funny part.
Right.
You know, you mentioned, I want to pull the thread on this, that you're playing a house league for free. We talk a lot on this show, especially Mike, about the importance of just kind of rec league and house league in youth hockey. And it kind of sounds like, Scott, you rediscovered a little bit there a passion and a love for the game. I also want to note to the audience too, like, Scott, you obviously had the talent, right? And we say all the time, like, that's just not enough. Like, talent is just not enough to accomplish what you want to accomplish in this game. There has to be character. There has to be belief. And I love that you said there has to be a little, naivete in terms of just youth, right? Of that I can conquer the mountain on my own. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you just about the house league and the fun and the freedom that's involved in that in contrast to, like you said, I was AAA at a young age and it was overwhelming, right? I think there's a lot of families that get that FOMO of, if I don't play AAA now, what's the point? And I'm sitting here telling you, Mike and Christie are as well, Scott, I'm sure you will too, that is not the only path in the game. Not to mention, I'm not sure if you should be thinking about the path at that age.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's actually so I have a younger guy now who's a 2020. He's 5 years old. I was talking to a friend, or he's 6, talking to a friend on the phone just, I guess, earlier today after drop off at school. And exactly that. So what's your little guy? How's everything going? I said, he's 5 and 6. The parents right now, there is no real FOMO. They're the joy, like they through the glass, you can still see their facial expressions, and they're just having fun. They just want to play. And if you look at the guys that are, if you want to call them superstars or elite players, or whether it's female or male, you see those same smiles. You see them, you see the reaction. You see it's not a job at 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes as families, where, like, your kid, he goes to school, they have a bad day, they carry that to the rink, and you expect them to go out and perform. These athletes that are being paid lots of money to do so at a very high level, they don't have any of those distractions. They're paid to do this. What they put in their body. Like, I just, the innocence of the youth, I get excited talking about it, because again, they're just playing a game, and I don't care whether it's house league, rec, the NHL, the hockey game itself is an unbelievable game at any level when they're having fun doing so, because the creativity, the speed, the everything is just so fun to watch and be part of.
I'm going to say this too, and then Mike, I will throw it to you. I promise. I'm not trying to hog the mic the whole show. Scott, something I tell parents a lot is that your kids are present because they're kids. They're present in the moment. They live in the moment. It's only the adults that actually take them away from that place, right? When a kid gets on the ice, for the most part, they are present and they are there, and that's their world in that moment. It's only when we say, well, if you got to do this, you got to do that. And if you don't do this, this is going to happen. If you don't do that, this is going to happen. It's only when those things happen do we pull them from the moment, and then they start thinking about it, right? So let's talk about that for a second as well, that the fact and the idea of that, like, the kids are actually present, and then we can actually learn from them in this environment. Like, another thing I talk about, I'm very fortunate to be able to coach my daughter right now. Okay. And I coached my son for years. The audience knows that, but I'm not thinking about her. She's 9. I'm not thinking about her 12 or 16. I just love coaching her at 9, 10 years old. That's where I'm at. That's all I'm focused on. And if she's happy on the ice, I'm happy on the ice. Right. We take that, the adults take that away from the kids. It's not really the kids who take that away from the game.
Oh, 100%. It's again, the innocence that's the fun part. Like, I tell kids similar to this, where the coaching aspect, even, like, because they're so innocent, because they're trying so hard, and this is something they enjoy, we've done our job if we become a cheerleader. The coaching aspect is done in practice. In the games, this is where they get to be themselves and try and work and see the little, what did they get from who's learned what and where's what. And again, if we've done a good enough job, it's pats on the back, it's high fives, smiles, So yelling, there's no discipline. There's, you just let them play. And that's their, at any level as a youth, they need to be able to get out there in a safe environment, positive environment, practice. You can teach and instruct games. This is their everything, right?
The,
And I think
the game provides the pressure. The game will provide plenty of pressure.
Yeah. And they'll learn from it.
Scott, I mean, one of the things, and as you're speaking, right, and you're talking passionately about, as a hockey parent, Christie and Lee, and we all put our kids in sport for whatever reason. And I think, one of we would hope that it's because they just to play the sport, right? Just to be in a great organized environment and learn accountability and learn what it means to be a teammate and compete and strive to get better. But can you talk, I think what some parents don't, especially new hockey parents, right? What they don't see is, as you personally progress through the levels of hockey, I think a lot of people just see early success and their child being really good. That is the path. Like, that's the way they're going to get to the big leagues. That's the way they're going to get to play junior hockey. Can you just talk a little bit about the misunderstanding of how hard it really is to go from youth hockey to junior hockey? And that's like, it's almost like if you can get out of junior hockey, it's a relief. Like, if you could it's almost harder to get to the, once you get to the pros, like, oh, that's much easier than what I went through for the last, couple of years. Can you just talk about that little piece of the journey?
Yeah, I think it does. It's because it's, there's professional leagues and there's junior leagues all over the place that we get so caught up and focused in on, this is our goal, where again, we lose sight of everything else. It's so difficult, but because it's spoken about so much that it just seems like it just happens. It's for years, it was Canadians going to school in the US. Oh, just get a scholarship. No, you don't just sign up and get a scholarship. Like, these are some really, really talented players from all over the world, let alone just Canada and the US. So yeah, the early success, it does not guarantee a pathway. Being drafted in the OHL or the major junior loop does not guarantee that you're going to play in the OHL. Being drafted in the NHL does not mean that you're guaranteed an NHL role or gig. What it means is you have an opportunity, maybe a little bit of a step ahead. But again, with that being said, there are guys that have chips on their shoulders, such as myself, that weren't drafted, that are so into the sport and so into it and realize what is at their fingertips, whether they're a late draft pick or whether they're not drafted at all. They're going to be coming, and there is no thinking of, he's a first rounder, let's leave him alone. They're coming. They want to compete with the best. So again, the early success, there's no guarantee. It's let your child enjoy the journey, enjoy it as a parent as much as possible. Again, I'm going through it. I'm still somewhat new at it. It's hard to sit back at certain times, but again, the innocence there, they will get there however and whenever they're supposed to get there, if they're supposed to.
I want to dive in real quick here, just to prove your point, Scott. All right. How hard it is. All right. I just did some research real quick while we were talking. This is the percentage of draft picks who play one game by sport. Okay. 40 to 50% of NHL draft picks play one game. Right? Check this out. NBA, if you're in the first round, you got a pretty high chance. After that, tails off dramatically. NFL is about 50%. Major League Baseball, 15 to 25%. So even if you get drafted to a pro league, unless you're an NBA star, which means you are 7'5", okay, all right, like, you're still not in a really great percentage, right? So it's like, not that you need to know that stat for your 9-year-old. Don't get me wrong, but like, this is why you can't focus on that. It's like, you just got to do the work.
Mike, I think you said it already, right? Like, I think that it's the journey of it, the sense of it's not going to get, you're not fast tracking, you're not going into an end goal. People sign their children up for different reasons on the sport. The sport offers so much, and for whatever reason, like, there's different people that have different views on what they want. If their end goal, I tell people, and it's a joke inside our household, where if we are literally betting on our kids to make it, and that's the way that we're going to accomplish ourselves and make it, it's a terrible outlook, in my opinion. And it's also, you have a better chance of winning the lottery. So go play that instead and let your kid be a kid. I don't know. I get very, very passionate and excited about the youth that come up, and I say underdog that knocks some of the other ones out, because it's, again, as much as sports they're supposed to offer adversity. So if you're 15, 16 years old and you haven't had to go through it because you're just really good, maybe you're bigger at the same time, it's okay. Like, kids develop and learn at different paces. You don't have to be the best. You just have fun doing so. And like anything in life, if you enjoy it, you're going to get better at it because you want to do it. You want to figure it out, right?
Just to stick to sticking to the realities of hockey, right, and the pro hockey grind, as we call it. And I think like I loved my youth hockey experience and my junior hockey experience and going into college and stuff like that. And I was terrible. Like I think I look at how, how bad
he really sells himself, folks.
I look at how bad I was.
He's just honest.
To the guy. Well, when you in the scheme of things, when you look at some of these athletes and you say, like, my God, like, how did anybody play against these guys? Like, they are just superhuman. They're monsters. But it's so funny how parents want their kids to go through this process. And I think for you, like, because you've lived it, right? Along Lee too, right? Is like, talk about like most parents just have their kids go to high school, they go to college, they work a crazy, maybe a couple of internships and slug it out a little bit and try to figure out where they want to go. I mean, talk about that piece of the journey that's the horrible hotel rooms, the terrible food, the bus trips, the
bus
call-ups,
rides,
the call-downs, the making the team. I get cut from the team. A kid comes in the locker room, you don't even know who he is. You're like, oh my God, this kid's like my position, and they're bringing him in for practice. Like, what does that do? Can you just talk about all of those? I mean, you talk about adversity and playing pro hockey, but can you talk about, and not the ugly side so much, but the reality side, like the side of, like, when we sign our kids up, we're not signing our kids up for the head games and the injuries and the playing through broken things that you just have to do in order to continue to play and make this dream a reality.
Yeah, the amount of sacrifice, and again, you mentioned head games. I don't even think that coaches or general managers, I don't think all of them meant to play with, the mind games. I really don't. I think there's some really good people that I've crossed paths with that just, it's the way that they came up or whatever. But one that sticks out for sure is, again, you go through your minor hockey. There is no healthy scratches. Like, you sign up, you pay your fee, everybody plays. Now, you may not play a lot depending on the style of the coach or whatever, but you sign up and you play. So no matter how good we are, this is, you're I always say, like, you're not that good until, you're kind of on the same playing field of maybe not paying anymore. Then you've established something. As a youth, you're paying to play. But getting into the AHL, it was I made Manitoba Moose out of junior. My first few games in professional hockey was there, and I remember doing warm up. I had a groin injury or something. I hip flexor during camp, so I missed the first couple of games, and I was finally in the lineup. And we got on this 4-game road trip, and got in the room, and I'm in warm up and get my stuff on. And we go out, we do our on ice stuff, and come in, and coach kind of just, one of these, like, I don't know what that means. So I had like in my gear, like running out like a 21 years old. Hey coach, what do you mean? Like, what's going? He goes, oh, you're not going to play. I say, I literally, like, conversation. I just warmed up. What do you? I don't understand. Like, what do you? I have my gear on, like, there, and it was a healthy scratch. So not even going into the game, I've never prepared. I've never, like, I was junior for the first year. I saw my number on the board or guys' numbers on the board, and that was the first time I've ever actually guys were in our lineup. But to be scratched after a warm-up that you took place in with your gear on and getting unchanged while your teammates are getting ready to go out and battle and compete, and you're kind of getting ready to get unchanged to get on a bike. That was an eye-opener for me, for sure. That was one that would stand out. But yeah, the hotel rooms, the sacrifice, the East Coast League, like, I think we did a 3-week road trip when I played in Alaska. We started off in Alaska to, like, Idaho, Boise, Idaho there. Then we ended up on the East Coast, which we never crossed over. So we ended up in Trenton and in Elmira, a couple of games there, and then the road trip back out to Utah. And then
you were on a bus for all that?
No, we flew, fortunately, from Alaska and Victoria in the East Coast League. We flew.
The Steelheads?
But and then we fly to wherever we're going, and then you bus around around that area.
I'm just glad you had a plane, because that would have been a bit much.
No. Yeah, no. We were fortunate to fly enough, but again, 3 weeks and it sounds great. Like again, I remember being a kid, like, oh, what do you mean you get to stay in a hotel and you get to eat whatever you want? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
money's limited. You're on a bus or a plane. You're sitting there in a hotel room with another buddy that you're just getting tired of by the end of the road trip. And this was a close knit group, so I can only imagine when teams don't have that same chemistry or bond, it's a lot of time to be with with another teammate
Right.
in a group.
Well, and
Yeah,
the focus
that
too.
sounds like
Yeah.
some really rough days. But
Yeah.
I bet you wouldn't trade a second of it because it got you to where you are today. And the lessons of accountability, responsibility have got to be a pretty long list there.
Oh yeah, it's I would never trade any part of the journey at all. The journey on the professional side or the playing side has allowed me to open my eyes up a bit more and realize again, like these kids are innocent, and this is like I absolutely love where I am now. But it's the sacrifice that I made as a player to allow me. Like people, I give up my evenings and weekends, as you guys know, that coach.
Yeah.
I don't coach my kids right now. I coach outside of the family, so I miss some games and practices there, which is tough at times. But it's evening and weekends. My wife has seen us, or we've been together for playing days where evenings and weekends didn't exist. You were lucky to have a Monday or a Tuesday midweek that was kind of your weekend. So to dive into that, yeah, I wouldn't change any of it. I absolutely love what we're doing now.
Yeah, I've been writing a few notes here throughout the show, Scott, and I'll start with this one. One of the things I want to mention to the audience, and I'd love your take on this too. I always try and think about things like I wish I had known that when I was 18, 21, because I think that parents, you can instill this into your kids when they're a young age. And I got to preface this. I love my teammates when I played. I was, you know, all about my team. But when you're trying to make it, right, it's a weird place to be in because there's a struggle. You want to be there every day. And like you talked about not playing, there are massive moments of adversity that if you're not mentally strong, they can be beyond devastating. So the tip that I wrote down is I wish I knew that in those moments of extreme adversity, how important just being a great teammate is, right? And I'm going to say it again. I was a good teammate. I wasn't a jerk to my teammates, but I wish I knew when I didn't make the lineup, hey, I have to be the best possible teammate today. Or sometimes this one's worse when you're on the bench and not playing. That can be hard too, right? Be the best teammate. And you know what's funny is the things that spawn from that tend to be very positive, right? Because people do notice that, right? And we all know this too. Look, if you're a fourth liner in the NHL, you're embracing that role.
Yeah.
You're just embracing it because you're in the NHL. I'm sure that's true in the A and the E as well in a lot of ways, Scott. But I'd love for your take on it because look, you were a leader when you played. You've won championships. You've won awards at those levels. How important is just being the best possible teammate?
Oh, it's so important. I think you hit it on the head where it's one thing again to not be in the lineup. You can kind of avoid certain things. You can do different things. You can kind of exclude yourself from different situations. The bench thing is the hard one. Like I played with some really, really, really great people that actually made quite a good career out of it that maybe weren't the most skilled, but they were unbelievable guys in the locker room. They were unbelievable guys on the bench. They stood up for one another. Again, it's a tough role, like you said, the third, fourth line. And I'm going back when I was playing, like we're going back 10 to 12 years ago. It's a little bit of a different game now, but you had guys that fought. Like that was what they did. They weren't scored against, a little bit of energy, but they fought and they'd only play 5-6 shifts. I honestly, like my hat goes off to those guys. I was playing, me not playing a lot was 5-6 shifts a period, right? Them not, it's 5-6 shifts a game. It's a mindset. So watching them, and I had some older guys, younger guys that just unbelievable team guys, but it's so important. Again, I tell people, what's the difference? Like the margin is so small.
Yeah.
Like if you're a jerk and this is what you do and you're a really good hockey player, the chances of you being really, really good and being a jerk and being better or that much better than a guy from Canada being in the US or a person in Switzerland or wherever that is, the margin's so small. So if you're the jerk, you're probably out. If you're a nice person and you are a good teammate and you are, even on point with caliber, you're going to be okay. You'll prolong your career by, if you're talking pro, you're going to prolong your career just by being a good person. Like, forget about hockey.
We should quickly, I think everyone's going to get a laugh out of this. We should talk about that jerk for a second, because I think there's a lot of kids who mistake being a jerk like on the ice and off the ice. They're very different things. Like, some of the nicest people I have ever played with are the meanest, most competitive people I have ever been on the ice with, that I'm usually happy they're on my team, right? But that's like that alter ego. So what I always say to kids is, I want you to be a competitor out there. Like, compete is a skill. Like, belief is a skill. And when you're out there, obviously following the rules and with high character, go compete. Go do what you got to do. But being a jerk off the ice does not translate the way you think it does off the ice. And I'll be honest with the kids out there, if you're being a big jerk off the ice, typically that tells me you're a little more worried about something than the kids you're teasing, right? We don't have to go too deep into that, but Scott, right? Like, I'm sure you played with guys like that,
Yeah, like I think of guys off the hop that are, again, like, they were super, super mean, but when you got off that ice, they were the first ones to give you a hug, a handshake, the jokers of the room, and you wonder why. And people that maybe don't know the game, aren't as close to the game, and they're going through it, that wonder how does this person just keep getting contracts? Why does this person keep getting signed? Or there's two, in my opinion, that are big ones that stand out. One, it's the glue guy, we call them in the locker room, and what are they like in the room, and what are they like on the bench? And two, how versatile are they? Right? There's guys that play, again, in the American League or NHL now, or even the women's side, that can play forward and defense. Well, how do you take them out of the lineup? Why would you not give them the contract? You can play anywhere you want, right? So I go back on the U side, where I'm told at 10 years old, 11 years old, my kid's a center. Well, I don't know if that's the case yet. We don't
even have positions anymore.
Yeah, right. I don't think that's it. But that's my point. Is I think those are the two that you're always trying to form a team around, or how versatile and how good of a person are they on and off the ice. That's your character, that's your culture, and that's, again, it's essentially what's wins championships. It's never and I'll dive kind of into this part, where I don't think it's anything to do with the sport itself. Like, if we look at the professional side, like, there's upsets.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee that if we go down the table on why the upset happened, it's never to really do with the on-ice sport or talk hockey. Obviously, it's wives, girlfriends, teammates. And that's what it comes down to. Where for the youth side, it's parents, teammates. How are they interacting? If there's a divide and a breakup, and unfortunately tryouts and all that stuff happens early, and it ruins, at least here, it's a joke, and it ruins your team. And
we call it silly season.
Yeah, 100%.
Season,
which is awful for coaches and parents. But if you go down there's upsets, and it's not because the team is worse, or that are they willing to do the extra little bit? Are they willing to block the shot for their buddy because they're that close? Did something seep into the dressing room? And again, I talk at the professional level, where I was on some really good teams that didn't win, and you look back at it again, you don't realize in the time, but what was it? Was it a check that you avoided just because you were close, but you weren't that close? And I go back to championships where, guys playing with broken feet and broken hands, and there's stitches all over their faces, and they smile, they be at the rink, and they're the exact same personality. The closer I get goosebumps thinking about it, where that's your difference, and it's what seeps into the dressing room.
I always like to say that. We say it on the show. I don't mind reminding people, gang, winning is really hard. It's really, really hard. And I don't think lots of people understand how hard. People go, oh yeah, it's hard. No, the margin for this is razor thin. And Scott, I love it. It's like, was it the hit I didn't make? Or at the pro level, was it the puck I didn't dive in front of?
Yeah.
Right? It's those little things that build. All right. And it's no different at the youth level. Actually, the gap is probably bigger, right? Of what you don't know, right? But winning is hard. The odds are never in your favor. I don't care how many weekend tournaments you play. I don't care how many teams. It's not easy to win.
No.
And when I see people chasing that, like, oh, I got to go to this organization because they win. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like that. The odds are still not in your favor. Yeah. We're going to go nationals. Great. It's great for you. Like, just go play.
Yeah, it's the super teams, right? Like there are starting to become, both in Canada and the US, and I'm sure everywhere else. It is there's no guarantee, and it's one of my favorite. I'm sure the players that I've had for a couple of years now are tired of hearing it, but it's just something you can't just put your uniform on and think that you get your 2 points. Like you still do have to compete because those players also want it. Like they do want to, they want to knock you off. I don't like, no matter how good you are. That's the beauty of sport. Like that's if it was, if there was no maybe, we wouldn't play. Like the competitive part is what makes it.
I will say it again. I have never worked with a team that has told me, man, we want to come in 5th this year. I've never worked with a team that has said that. Sorry, Christie, go ahead.
No, it's, and you see it at playoffs now, too. The teams that are so hungry, that just like we just saw it with the Buffalo Sabres, right? Super hungry. They were down, and then they score, 7, there was 4 goals, right, in 7 minutes.
It's April 20th when we're recording this, by the way.
Right. You just love to see that hunger, right? So you never know. You never know. Never assume that you've built this super team.
Shout out for my Flyers here.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sabres fan here.
A collective groan from all of Canada right now. Just Canada, we love you. Don't.
I gotta be honest here. I also am jumping on the Buffalo bandwagon here, Christy. So it's hard not to right now. Go, Mike. Yeah,
it's so fun. But there's a prime example. You say you build these super teams, but you never know, and you'd especially see it now where every shift in playoffs, the team is hungry. It's just such an exciting time to watch. But speaking of highlights, we need to get to that crazy highlight goal. Scott, we would be remiss not to have you relive that moment for us. The goal that became known as one of the greatest highlight reel goals ever. Take us back to that moment. Relive it for us. What was that like? And what was it like after that goal was scored?
And Scott, before you begin, for the listening audience, if you go to YouTube, because we legally cannot share it here. If you go to YouTube and look Scott Howe's goal, it will pop up. Yeah, it's HOWES, by the way. I didn't say his name in the open fully. Go watch the pause. Just go watch this real quick. It's the ultimate tic-tac-toe.
And then come back.
Probably great. All right, Scott, we'll throw it to you.
If you're a defending coach, it's horrific.
The worst goal of all time.
It's almost like if you're describing it and you're watching a football game and you're watching the tackles, it's basically the same. It's the equivalent to what the hell were you doing?
Okay, you've got the floor, Scott.
Either way.
You've got the floor. Let's hear it.
It's one of those things that just like everything clicked, right? Like you're playing at a high. It's a high level. Like the East Coast League back then was 3 lines. Like you didn't dress unless you were playing. It was a development league through and through. So everything went just right. The defenseman not sure. Like it's that same player we played all season long the last couple of years, and they never stick check. They went for stick checks and turning and spinning instead of body on body. Like everything just kind of clicked. The joke that most don't know, because we talk about the goal, is our line combined in the first period, because that was a first period goal. And again, back then, very rarely was there like a news station that was actually recording any sort. So they were probably there to do weather or something, let's be honest. And they caught the goal and it worked out. But again, like our line combined for like 12 points in the first period.
Wow.
I don't know if we touched the puck again in the second and third. Like our game was, that was it. Like we were done. But yeah, everything clicked. The guy that scored was Adam Taylor. Taylor, he walked around with a cell phone. Guys were, again, back then, you in the dressing room, the batter back and forth and chirping and everything else. And he walked around with a cell phone, and it was hitting like it was close to a million views on YouTube. Oh my gosh. So you'd pull it out, and the guys would say something to him, and all you had to do was tap it in, and he kind of pull his phone. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you get 1 million views, and he kind of. But yeah, no, it was definitely. It was a really cool experience. The city got behind it. The teammates, like, again, it still comes up. I still have buddies that kind of send it to me every once in a while, and but we're almost, I don't know, almost 15 years I think from when it happened, or maybe close to it probably.
I got to tell the audience, Scott. First, that was a fair description, but you're still being a little humble, because the little dipsy doos you did on that play were pretty. It is going to be my goal here. We can't share it on the episode, but I am going to share that as a mini clip. I'm going to try and get that to go viral again for you. But I also got to tell the kids, we do have to say this, because we talk about how it's all highlights nowadays, right? I love that you brought up, there was a whole game after this that had to be played. Like, by the way, on the highlight clip, doesn't even say if you won or lost the game. I mean,
I know, right? Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So
Doesn't matter.
it
We'll say
doesn't
we won.
matter. Right. But I do want to tell the kids that look, we are going to share this because it's one of the best goals ever, right? Like team goals. There's so much skill, so much training, so much things that went into that, though. It's never just the highlight, right? And Scott, you're a coach, and again, we're getting to coaching in a minute after we finish about talking about your career. But I do want to open this up for a minute because we are seeing it across the board. Hockey IQ is way, way down. Hockey skill has never been higher. The amount of 10-year-olds that can do a Michigan and do things with their stick that I couldn't do at 10, never been higher. But not understanding basic concepts of finding open ice, understanding defensive positioning, gap control. We said it earlier, understanding that your position on the faceoff after the faceoff pretty much does not matter anymore. Okay, like in the game, maybe a little bit, right? Can you talk for a minute as a coach about how, again, someone who was part of a massive highlight, how that there's more to the game than just these highlights?
No, there's again, I'm glad you touched on it. Like the amount of things or times I tell kids and parents, so what do we need to work? I said, do you watch hockey? Like, yeah, I saw the highlight. It's eating cereal before school or something. I'd be like, no, even just a period. Watch a period, find a player, watch that, and see what they do, because you're watching a snippet of what they're actually doing throughout the whole game. Some guys won't touch a puck. I've had games where, like I was up there in record in the East Coast League on 14 shots in a game. I walked away. Guys were scoring behind the goal line. I didn't walk away with a point. The puck was with me the entire. I couldn't. Nothing would work. My point to it is, it's never just the side of the highlights. There is more to a game. The fact of the hockey IQ, it's a tough one. Like that one, I joke. I never played D. I never played center. I played wing. And the ongoing joke there when I was playing was I wasn't smart enough to play D. I wasn't a hard enough worker to play center. So I played wing. Okay? And that was the ongoing throughout the whatever. And which is completely obviously false, but that's just the ongoing way of doing it. And I broke up drills. I wasn't a great practice player. That all said, the hockey IQ piece, I always thought it was more of a thing that you worked on or more natural or whatever. It's not. It's watching the game. It's just stop with the fancy and the give me something. Again, we run training back home, and we put things on the ice, and we flip things over, and I try to make it as game-like as possible. But unless you're actually watching a hockey, and so I talked earlier about the house league and the any level, it's the same thing. Like house league, you're taught, don't put the puck in the middle of the ice, go get the boards. Well, when things get dangerous or whatever, in tight games in the NHL, typically you don't put it up the middle, you go the boards. Urgency to get to the net. Well, you watch a goalie get pulled in the NHL on how many shots just keep going and going and going towards the net. Well, that's your whole hockey is just everything just simplifies, and it's not the fancy over the back, and it's not. So yeah, right. I kind of rambled there, but it's I don't
perfect.
Yeah, like the side of the skill set is stuff like you touched on. I was known for my stick, my hands were good, but it wasn't anything based on outside of the hockey game. You took advantage of what was given to you. The player there that we made the move against, open legs, a big long stick, you picked your triangle. Now it's you're trying to expose triangles that aren't there, or you're trying to the cones were in one place, so we're just going to try to make this move, and there's no dissecting what's actually coming at you. It's become a different game, faster.
Yeah, I want to say this to you. I love it. We had Pavel Barber on not too long ago.
Okay,
right? He's the ultimate highlight guy, right? And even he said, really to the camera, he's like, you should not watch this stuff. He said, I have another channel where I actually teach this other stuff. And he goes, look, let's be honest, it's just not as sexy as a Michigan. He goes, but if you're serious, you want to know this. And this is where I want to take this too, Scott. And you gave a great explanation. All right. I remember you were talking about being on the road before. And it's like, here's a side of the road I don't think people know. Like when you're obsessed with this game, which is not a bad thing, by the way. Like everyone here is obsessed. Yep. All right. We're all in the game. We're all working in the game. All right. But you can be in an amazing destination. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get out every once in a while and look at what I'm focused on the game. I'm focused on watching film. I want to be doing it. Right. So when it comes to hockey IQ, and parents, I'm going to say this, you hear me say this all the time. This is not something you can necessarily put in your kid, you can encourage them, you can cultivate this. But when I see a kid watching film, I mean really watching it, not just their goals, or sitting down with a coach and saying, hey, what can I have done here? And seeing the full ice and seeing how the play develops. Invaluable stuff. All right. I've said this too on the show. It was my first year of Bantam, second year of Bantam. Had a coach volunteer to sit down with me with a whiteboard before every practice and really taught me the game. And to this date is one of the most important things I have ever done. He taught me the game outside of the flashy stuff. And I became a really good player after that because I was gifted that. And he was just volunteering time on a whiteboard. I didn't have YouTube back then. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's what
funny.
you had.
It's funny though. It's funny too when you talk about this. And Scott, maybe you can talk a little bit about, some, especially the higher level kids you work with, is how important it is because the kids, our players today, and even at the NHL, right? They're watching videos so much, and they can do so much more self-assessment. Like it doesn't always have to be the coach pointing anything out. It's just letting the kids watch themselves and saying, "You tell me what you were doing there." Like, and again, sometimes you'll hear great things like, "Oh, well, I thought this, and I was going to do that." I'm like, "Oh, well, that." Like me as a coach, I'm like, "Well, I love the fact that you even thought that. Like that was unbelievable. Like it was the wrong play, but the right thought." Like, and so I think there's so much ways for our kids today to learn the game by self-assessment, and all the tools are there. I mean, shit, you got YouTube video from 15 years ago still uses that, right? So I think these kids, and I think that's a great thing, and it's a really big problem, right? There's two aspects of this game, because there's three guys on that video, right? That I'm sure they're getting those clips every now and then too. Like, how the hell did you let this guy do this? Yeah. Like so it goes both ways. The power of video and the power of self-exploration of saying, well, where is my skill set? What am I? Yes, I can do the Michigan, but I can't even chip the puck over the blue line. Like these are the kind of things that we look for. Pavel Barber mentioned it. You just mentioned it. We've had countless pros mention, what the pieces that go into a game. That yes, it's always great to have those little snippets of things, but fix the simple parts of your game first.
Yeah, it's funny. The video was such a. I go back, like, again, money. Hockey's expensive. We know that it's video with your cell phone or a parent or whatever. Not to show your child that they scored and they highlight real goal. It's just show them their shifts. Mm-hmm. So you don't even have to say anything. There's no questioning the coach. There's no questioning anything. You're not timing ice time. We're not using it for that. It's, what do you see? I was told, I love video. I'll give a shout out in a second here, but I love video. I was told that you're never as good and you're never as bad as you think you are. So you go watch video and you kind of, I'm sure you guys have seen it, and you kind of don't know if I really want to see this, and you kind of start to like, oh, that's not so bad. Or the games where you feel like you're on fire and you're untouchable, and you go back and it's like, I've turned 15 pucks over and I missed checks in it, but somehow the puck. So again, you're never as good and never as bad. And again, I go back to the video part side. It's actually, so Tage Thompson, his dad, Brent Thompson, is now coaching Hershey. Shout out to him. He was actually phenomenal. He sat down. It was to a point where I don't know how he managed to do it with no sleep on the road in the East Coast League. He had me in Alaska, and every single game before the next game or whatever, he'd go in and I'd sit there. He'd have 6 or 7 clips. And again, not all good, not all bad. He'd end it with certain things and just certain points. But it helped so much to understand what I was capable of, what I needed to work on. And he didn't have to say a whole lot. Like it was just us there, and it was just but we go back, Lee, where it was just his time. He'd go home. We're on the road. He's doing the same travel as we are, and break down video for one player. It was my best, I guess, professional year was there. So you start to go back down the line and on where and what, and it lasted from when I was traded there to winning again the championship in Alaska, based on him wanting to do time. And it's just one of those things that something connected to watch it and to see still stands out to this day.
You know what we should say too? You're bringing up a great point, Scott. You're making me think about this, especially to the parents. And this is not a shot, parents. It's just something you probably don't realize. When you're on the ice, it is such a different view than what you're seeing on whatever TV or Live Barn or whatever you're watching on, right? And I've had parents say, like, how did they not see that? How do they not see that gap?
Yeah.
Well, you know, because there's a kid 6 inches taller skating right next to them, which you can hear, and they panicked a little. You know, like the vision on the ice and the speed, especially when you get to the higher levels. If you've never played, and I do not mean this as a bad thing, you do not understand how fast this thing is moving. And the gap that you might see, the player honestly might see. Actually, this is one of those big separators of the greatest players see all this stuff, right? Or they anticipate all this stuff.
Yep.
So that's another reason why just letting them watch and discover can be a huge thing. Now, I was laughing a little bit, Scott, when you were talking. Mike and Christie will like this too. You know, I stopped playing a few years ago, but I was playing, you know, we're all hockey ends in adult league. And these guys on my team keep sending clips in our team chat. I was like, I don't want to watch myself play at all. And like, especially probably because look, when I'm out there, I think I'm flying. And it's like, I remember I watched one of my adult league clips once and I'm like, oh man, that is not as fast as I used to be. So I said, unless there's something you really want to teach me in this clip, I don't need to see it. And by the way, the clips are always just goals. They're 80% great goals, 20% the penalty the ref didn't call.
Yeah.
None of it's good for me to watch, right? But I will say this too, that coaches, not parents, coaches, there are a lot of tools now where you can watch video, even at the youth level, will not take you a lot of time, that you can put together some really great feedback, positive and negative. As Scott said, don't ever just do negative for the kids you coach, where with the access to video and the ability to kind of just record right on top of it, voiceovers. I mean, if you want to put the time in, and like some of you don't have the time, and I completely appreciate that too. It has never been easier to do that. And I can say this too, at the high levels, it is absolutely necessary to do this. At the younger levels, I encourage it if you can, because the room for growth below 12, I mean, it's really big for everybody, but you can really teach these kids the game at that age, and they're sponges. They want to learn.
Right. Yeah. And this is a great opportunity for coaches listening, Scott, to get some advice from you, because you are coaching now. Are there some techniques you think that are really working with kids now? I mean, how often do they skate, for example, without the puck, and you just let them be more creative? What kinds of things are you doing to help advance hockey IQ at a young age and to get kids really creative out there on the ice?
I think we try to allow them just to be themselves. Again, I think we go back to that their youth. Like they see something on TV and they want to try to relive that, right? And I unfortunately, part of that is they don't see the whole game. So instead of them chipping a puck out, they're seeing the highlight reel goal. So I think it goes hand in hand, where allow them to make mistakes. And this is where things get mixed up, at least in my opinion, is we're so quick to say no or to tell them that this is the way to do it, and then little robots. And if they don't make the mistake, so like a gap control on the defensive side, gap control is so hard to teach, and we're constantly trying, you got to do this, in order for them to actually work on it, they have to be beat. And you as a coach have to be okay where it's not a shot to your ego. Like, my kid is, the child is going to be fine. Let them get beat so that you can now, they understand where and how to maneuver, instead of just, hey, this is the way to do it. It's not the same. And I go back, sorry, Lee, I want to go back real quickly, if it's okay, Christie, on the speed factor. The parents on the video when they watch, and I try to encourage parents, go stand at the glass. Because the ones that are usually making this stuff up, and even at 10 and 12 years old, it's the same parents that say, well, I don't know, my kid is so fast. Well, now picture the other 10 and 12-year-olds that they're playing against. At that glass level, you also now are seeing a little bit more of the realisticness of, oh, wow, like, you know, I didn't see that player. You know, I watched the kid make a pass yesterday. I'm like, oh, it was actually a really good pass. I didn't see it. But, you know, everybody that knows the game can go sit up in a press box and dissect an NHL game, right? It looks pretty slow. We're adults. We've been around the game. You kind of know where things are going. Go watch a youth game at the glass level. I can almost guarantee that you're not going to pick up what these kids are. Like, they're still so gifted and so talented. But yeah, the other piece, sorry, I'm jumping back again, Christie. I would say positive encouragement. I'd say just the confidence. Allow them, like, as much as, I know it's not a hockey IQ thing or I try to instill, just go have fun. Like, just, we're there to teach. Again, I went back to the whole cheerleader thing. Yeah, they're going to figure it out. If you're patting them on the back and not screaming and yelling, they want to please you. No kid is out there that I'm going to do what I want to do. And at least not for very long. Like they're going to eventually figure out because you're in a team sport.
Yeah.
Right. So the pat on the back and the encouragement, that there in itself will push them into areas on what they can and can't do, and their comfort and their, just their overall skill set.
Right. So simple, and so many parents lose sight of that, right?
Yeah, just again, like there's certain rules out there. Like I'm trying to learn. Like my oldest plays soccer, and fortunately, I know nothing about soccer. Hey, did you listen to the coach? Yeah. Did you work hard? Yeah. Like it's hockey's the same way. Like you fist pump your kid because the coach might have blasted them, might not have. They might have patted them on the back. They might not have. They don't need us to go in as a parent to, why didn't you do this, or you should have done this. And again, as an adult, we know it. The kid doesn't. Right? Like they're 12, 13.
Scott, that is such a huge point. Like it's easy as an adult, be like, I know all this stuff. Well, you might go to your kid and be like, the gap. And the kid goes, what's a gap? Like they don't know what a gap is. They don't even know what that means.
No.
Right. So for the, especially the younger coaches, right? I guess it's for everybody, but like part of the teaching of coaching is taking what you know, looking at who you're coaching and saying, okay, well, where are they at with the understanding of this concept? All right. Like, again, I don't like to pick on this one, but like Wayne Gretzky did not succeed as a coach. And the greatest comment I ever heard is, how is he supposed to teach people to see the game like he did? Yeah. How is he supposed to do that? It's like not possible.
Well, yeah. Right? And again, if anything, he should be coaching a bunch of 6 and 7 year olds to say, hey, listen, this is because by the time you're 24 years old, it's like, well, there's nothing I can instill into you of this, of all, because you're baked in. That's the person, right? I mean, but you could, that's why, like me and Scott, I love the fact that you're working with these younger kids at the beginner levels, because that's where we need our best coaches. Yeah. Our best people in the game need to be working with the players at 5 and 6 and 7 years old, because this is that muscle memory, that brain, IQ piece formulates there. It's so hard to take a 17-year-old and say, well, I'm going to teach this kid some hockey IQ. I'm like, it's too late. I think there is ways to tweak it and change it and fix as much as you can. But really where your investment has to happen is when the kid is 5 and 6 years old, and forget about the stats and think about the game and say, like, hey, wow, that was the right play. Oh, that was the right decision. Oh, that was a great, decision to make in a tight spot. Like, this is where we need to, tone down the wins and losses, tone down the scheduling, and upgrade, who is working with our kids at that age.
So Mike, that's it. So again, we go back, you have to get a buy-in from the parents, right? And the coach has to be willing to, I say sacrifice, maybe not the right word, to sacrifice their own wins and losses. Like, don't go off of the actual win and loss column. Go off of your development. Go off of what you're teaching these kids, because again, like, these kids they're sponges and they want to learn. So if you're going in there and again, your team is okay to start the season and they've closed the gap, they may not win every game still by the end of the season, but if you go back on where they're going to be good and great moving forward. They have a good experience. They've seen the development. They see the progress. They're going to be just fine. But the buy-in also has to come from the coach, or the parents, where parents, again, like, power play and penalty kill, and they're 10, they're 11. Like, they don't need that. They need to understand everything else. They got to go through the process in order to get better. But you got to get the buy-in. But Yeah,
I love what you're saying. I remember a few years ago, I was coaching a 10U AA team, and the kids were great. They worked so hard, but here's the deal. We just did not have the scoring to really compete at the level we wanted to compete at. Now, these kids, they overperformed. They made the higher level playoffs, didn't win anything. But I remember the parents were frustrated at one point, and so was the coaching staff a little bit. And I remember saying, like, we're doing a great job. We're doing fine, because the squirts that we're coaching today are going to be great peewees tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what happened. When they kind of graduated, that team, those kids on that team are succeeding now where they're at. And they've had winning seasons. Truth is, not every season you coach is going to be winning. Most of them are not going to be a winning season. Talked about this earlier. All right. But I love that thought for them of, like, we're the kids we're coaching today are going to be peewees tomorrow, and those peewees tomorrow are going to be bantams, if we still use that language. Yeah. You're coaching them now, and I'm all about being present, but you're also coaching who they're going to be. That's development. That's the whole definition of it.
But that's in our industry right now. And Mike, maybe you guys all can kind of speak on it. We use the word development a lot.
Yeah.
And we have the super teams, as we touched earlier, where they're really, really good hockey players, but you have the best of the best. The development is hard to come by because you're the best of the best. They may be bigger and stronger. They may just be faster. Whatever the case is. And I get excited. And I can tell, Lee, obviously yourself, where when you see these kids that have, again, I used adversity. They've gone through competing with players that may have been just had a little bit of an edge, but they competed and tried and worked. So you've instilled something in there where when they go into their PB level from squirt, they're there. Like they're everything they've learned, they've developed. They've actually gotten better. They've actually learned. They've gotten things again. I go back where we use it so often, the development piece, where we have to actually get rid of I say ego, and again, maybe it's not the right word, on the coaching side, especially where wins and losses don't matter. Develop the players, because realistically, you can't take your team, no matter how good your team is, you can't take them all and progress into the NHL as a full team. It's going to be individuals, and it's going to be, so why not give every single player on your team the best chance possible to be that individual, right? You're only as good as your weakest link. So if your weakest link is getting better, you've done a great job. If your kid is, if you're sitting your weakest link just because of we need an extra win, or when we're talking, game 22 rather than the finals, then what do we do as a coach? Like, that's a whole other, like, let's be real and actually develop everybody, close the gap, and give every single player the best opportunity as possible.
Well, Scott, I always say this to coach. When I coach coaches, I say there's a lot of different ways to win. You got to redefine winning. Like winning the game or winning the championship, that's one form of winning. But there's a lot of ways to win as a coach. All right. There's a lot of ways to win as a team. And I think if you're only going in, and I'll speak to those like super teams and high level teams, quote unquote high level teams. If your only goal is to win the championship, I just think we're failing. Even if you're a great team, like the wins for me, and this is as I've gotten older, I don't care what level I'm coaching. I don't like I that part of my ego is gone, right? Like I don't need to be coaching in the NHL anymore or anything like that. I will coach the kids in front of me, and the win for me is they're getting better. And I take a lot of pride in that. All right. And I think that's how we all have to approach it as parents. All right. I'm not saying don't be competitive. I'm not saying don't get on the absolute best team you can be on. That's not what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different ways to win. And look, not to get magical here, but when you see a kid get it, whatever you're teaching, that's the greatest thing in the world. That's the greatest thing in the world.
Well, this is what makes me laugh when I watch, all these skills guys, like all the skills people that work with all these kids, and nobody ever shows like that they're working with anybody that has to learn how to play hockey. It's all players that all are really, really good at hockey already. Like it's all these players that can do all these things. I'm like, okay, yes, okay, great. Fine tune the kids that are good. Show me you could teach somebody how to play the game that doesn't know right now. Like, it's like all these like quote unquote super teams. Yes, great. You can manage a bunch of people, but the fact is you didn't really develop those kids. You didn't really, you're a great recruiter. Like being a great recruiter and a great coach are completely two different things. And I think that's what we all get clouded with is like the NHL, you have to win. The end of the day, the second place team in the NHL, coaches get fired. It's a job. You can develop players all you want. You can develop the relationships all you want. At the end of the day, you have to win. At 10 years old, you don't have to win. You shouldn't have to win. Like you should. The win, like to your point, Scott, Lee, Christie, right? Is the win is I just developed another kid that's going to play for another year, and I think that's just again, I don't think that's all coaches' fault, by the way. I think that's parents' faults. I think it's the world we're living in now. Yeah, but if you can find the right people to help you manage that piece, then you've captured lightning in a bottle. If you could find those parents that Scott talked about, the buy-in people, the people that say, "Hey, I'm going to take this guy. He's going to work with my daughter. He's going to work with the other 12 daughters, and guess what? They're all going to get this great experience." That is like the unicorn of youth hockey.
I'm laughing. There was a mother on my son's team last year. I think we'll all get a good laugh out of this. And I remember she said, great, wonderful person. And I'll tell you this too. Her son was the best player on the team. I want to actually set this up. And I remember she came up to me because I love talking to her. She knows what I do. And she goes, "Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, like why everybody's so in, like, it's just a hobby." and people were like, and I'm like, I'm like, I mean, she's not wrong.
Right.
It is at this point, like, yes, we're intense. Yes, we are dedicated. Yes, it's a little more than just a side thing. But at the end of the day, I'm like, she's not wrong completely.
And it really sucks when it really sucks
Yeah.
when the people that think that way have the best kids. I hate those people. Like that's like, oh my God, you got the best kid, you don't even care.
Her son put up 100 points this year, and she's walking around going, "It's just a hobby. What are you doing?" I'm just, it's just, the thing is look, again, look, I will be the first to say, yes, it's a little more than that. I'm not going to say it's not. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that goes into hockey, but at the end of the day, what she's saying is this is not life. This is not the be all end all of life. They're in school. They're growing up. You know, this is it's something that they do.
Extracurricular. Like that's
right. I love that.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the other thing too. Like we said it throughout the episode. Look, I am in love with hockey. The only thing I love more than hockey is my family and my podcast crew, because we're here right now.
Right. And let's not forget too, you know, and I've seen this with my own kids. Hockey, okay, they developed their skills. They ended up being really good hockey players, but they also learned so many great life lessons that they use to this day in their jobs. My daughter's now in law school, and I see it all the time. The discipline, the time management, the persistence, the never getting up, all those skills. And Scott, I bet you still use whatever hockey taught you to this very day.
Oh, 100%. We, like, again, the values, the way that you handle yourself throughout the game is essentially how you are as a person. If you're a good person and you're doing things the right way and you surround yourself by good people, which there are tons of good people in the hockey world and community. It's such a small community. It evolves into your personal life after hockey, after the game is done, whether it be a men's league or a beer league or whatever, a women's league. Again, my favorite are still talking to kids that I coach. I think one of the first years I coached, they're all now in university or about to graduate university, where these kids, my win was they took their hockey bag and didn't leave it at home. They took their hockey bag to pick up hockey at school, right? The dropout rate from hockey, as we know, is awful when they get older, and whether it's timing, whatever. So yeah, my way of living is definitely because of the upbringing through the sport itself, 100%. And again, that's something that I'm very proud of and passionate about. And the lessons you get from it without even realizing. I didn't know as a kid walking through, and I'm sure you guys are the same. Like, we didn't know what we were learning. He'd be on time, be there an hour before. And, you know, I'd hate to be late for a meeting now. I don't know. There's something like, it gives you jitters, you know?
Exactly.
Well, that's,
and I think parents don't lose sight of that. You know, even if you're in a losing season, your kids are winning.
Well,
trust us.
I'm going to shout your kids out, Christie. Both your kids very successful. But like, I love that you brought up Sophia, because it's like, oh, you thought playing D1 NCAA was hard. Why don't you go try and become a lawyer?
A lawyer, yeah. Oh my gosh,
it says a lot about you, and again, your family never lost sight of that. But again, Christie, actually, I'm going to ask you a question real quick, right? As a mother, right? Your kids are not playing hockey, like in terms of
for fun.
Right.
Yeah, like Joey does a beer league once in a while, and Sophia will pick up a stick just to keep her skills up. But law school's tough, 24/7.
That's my point. Your daughter's in law school. Your son has a very, very great job in New England, right? Tell me, as a mother who has gone through the journey and spent all that money and all that time, your kids didn't make it, quote unquote. Right? How proud are you of your kids for what they're doing now?
So proud. And hockey is still very much a part of our lives, obviously through what I do. And we talk about it all the time. And, we're all FaceTiming each other during the playoffs, of course. And I don't have one regret that they're not technically hockey players anymore. It's not who they are, it's what they did, but it helped them become who they are,
right?
Which is just,
it's
just amazing. So parents, just remember, this is going to pay in dividends down the road, what your kids are learning now.
And I will always say thank you to Mike and you, Christie, because I've been the great beneficiary of this discussion for 6 years.
Yeah.
Scott, this conversation's flying by. I do have one more question for you because we're getting to overtime here. I did want to mention, look, we didn't talk about it. You're a champion. You're a playoff MVP. You've done a lot in the game, but today you're coaching girls youth hockey, right? Tell us about that experience. Tell us about maybe a little bit about what's different, kind of culminating the whole episode about coaching now versus when you grew up. And what are the things that you find are the struggles, but also the wonderful side of coaching today?
I'll start with it's loaded. I laugh. The coaching again. I absolutely love it. I joke. I say if I would have coached kids and was able to dissect and break things down for them, because again, you have to break them down for the skill level, I would have been that much of a better player. I just, the way you're able to think, the way you're able to do things, if you can kind of focus in on that. The girls side, I absolutely love it. I coached boys for a few years there. That's right when I stopped playing, I kind of jumped right into it. The boys were good. I felt like it was, at least here and maybe up until the last couple of years, it's getting a lot better. I felt the girls was an underserved market. I felt that again, I have two daughters myself. One is just starting to play, and even with the amount of work I do with the girls, she kind of looked at, she didn't want to play hockey, and she realized that, there's girls that only do this. Like, sure, I'll try, and fell in love with the game. So again, the girl side, the girl piece, I absolutely love it. It's come such a long way on the way that it's evolved, and I'm actually, again, it's something I'm proud about. Like, it's something to be part of, that they just continuously to break barriers and to continuously, just to do I guess, something that nobody really thought they'd be able to do. Like, it's, the long gone is the boys get ice, the boys get this, and they're quick. Like, it's, the girls are right on par, and to be part of that is something that is so cool to see them get what they're supposed to get, like get what they deserve. And the hockey IQ there, the hockey skill set, they're hockey players. You take the girl and boy piece apart, and there are some really, really, really good hockey players that are playing on the female side. And, it's something to watch out for sure.
I love it, man. And one of the things we always say is, again, especially with Haley, our co-host on our Girls Play Hockey, is, one of the fun parts of girls hockey is every time they take the ice, they're trailblazing. And it's so fun to be a part of that, right? To help grow the game. And like you said, we're definitely every day heading towards that. These are just hockey players, these are athletes, right? And that's better for the game, period, right? No matter how you look at it. So that's big. Guys, again, we're up on time, but Mike and Christie, I definitely want to say anything before we close this out. This could go for another hour.
Oh, it easily could go for another hour. Scott, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing so much. What an incredible story you have. And it's so comforting knowing that you're still involved in hockey and shifting it the right direction.
Well, thank you guys very much. This was super, super cool. So thank you again very much for having me on and just having conversations. It's things that I don't normally get a chance to talk too much about out loud, and to be out there and be able to have some like-minded views is nice for sure.
Refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, refreshing.
It's us three and like two other people. So basically, but I think Lee said at the beginning, sometimes the people that really, really need to hear these messages and have the ability to listen to people like you are really the people who just can't get on these type of shows and listen to this type of platform. But we're hoping by, the audience we have, that they go out there and just hey, if I could take this one little clip of Scott talking about this and share it with that mom that's down at the end of the bench on the other side screaming over the glass, like maybe I can make one person's life a little different. And then, we're all happier people in the rink.
Yeah. I just wrote down, share this with your toxic hockey parents. See how you might be in a fight if you do. But no, Mike, on that point too, and Christie, one of the coolest parts of this show, and Scott, we were talking about this in the pre-show a little bit, is we have a global audience of hockey people that love these messages. And that was the goal from the start, was to find that audience. And actually that audience found us. And it's one of the reasons we're so successful. The other reason is by having fantastic guests like you, Scott. So thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you guys very much. This was awesome.
It was. And for the audience, you do have a life. You have to get back to real life now. You know, you have these conversations. Remember, a lot of different ways to contact the show. team@ourkidsplayhockey.com if you want to email us. Again, we do not have to read it on the air if you just want to contact us there. Also, accompanying every episode, there's a link in the description. If you click on that, you can text us. You can leave us a voice message. We can contact you back. But obviously, audience, your thoughts, what you want us to talk about, what you want to discuss, we love that. That's what helps to drive the show, in addition to amazing guests like Scott Howes. So that's going to do it for this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. We'll see you next time. Enjoy your hockey. Enjoy your day. Take care, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.